Sometimes people just have really rough nights. Maybe you're hormonal, maybe you've gotten in a fight with your family or significant other, or maybe, like me, you're a little bit homesick. I know that when I get really sad and I cry, I get really baggy eyes and my skin looks a little bit off and everything just looks a little bit deathly. So in this video, I'm gonna show you how to look like a rock star even after you've had a really rough night. The first thing I like to do is stick a couple spoons in the freezer for a couple minutes. You can see that these even have a little bit of ice forming on them. And I like to press these against my eyes and under eye circles. It's really, really cold at first, but it definitely helps puffiness go down and even brings a little bit of color back to that area. It makes a very slight difference, but the difference is significant when we get to the end, you'll see. I usually leave the spoons against my eyes until my body heat starts to warm them up. It's not totally necessary, but I like to apply a primer when I want my foundation to go on really, really smoothly. I focus the primer around the areas where my face is a little bit rougher in texture, especially around my nose, between my eyebrows, and my chin. An eyeshadow primer does basically the same thing as a facial primer. It smooths out the area so that eyeshadows go on a lot more cleanly, and it also prevents it from creasing throughout the day. This is especially important if you have oilier eyelids. Now if you look closely, my under eye circles have a blue tint to them. To combat this, I'm going to be using an orange toned lipstick. You can also use concealer for this, but I have a lipstick on hand. And I'm going to dab a little bit of this on my ring fingers, rub them together, and then pat them directly on top of my under eye circles. This makes the circles under my eyes a lot less noticeable and makes it blend in with my skin tone a lot easier. Lately, I've been mixing my moisturizer with my foundation. This gives my skin a more natural finish, and it also sets in my skin a lot easier, and this is especially helpful if I've been crying. I like to focus my foundation on the reddest parts of my face, which include my cheeks, around my nose, between my eyebrows, and just across my chin. I then blend the areas out, either with a brush or with my fingers. If I used a brush to apply my foundation and there are a couple brush marks across my face, I like to take a wet stippling brush and just pat it across my face. This also helps the foundation look a lot more natural. To bring a bit more light under my eyes, I like to use a light concealer. This one's really liquidy, which is great for under your eyes, as it doesn't feel very heavy at all. This concealer has a doe foot applicator, so I just dab it on with the applicator and then pat it out with my ring fingers. Next, with a brush, I like to pat translucent setting powder in the areas where I need the product to stay put all day long. Notice that I'm just using the product left in the lid, which isn't very much product at all. I usually pat the powder over my eyes, under my eye area, and around my nose. Then whatever is left over on the brush, I just pat across my face. If I used a larger amount of concealer under my eyes, I like to dip a small fluffy brush in the powder, tap off the excess, and then dust the powder under my eye area where my skin creases. To bring a bit more color back into my face, I use a little blush. Now, I am very, very fair, so it's really easy to go overboard with the blush. To make sure I don't use too much, I like to brush the extra blush across my wrist before applying it to my cheeks. Now it's my favorite part, which is my eyebrows. You can really do this any which way you want. It really depends on the look you're going for and your personal hair color. Today, I want to look a little bit more defined and awake and aware. Therefore, I'm going for a thicker brow. I make sure the tail end of my eyebrows are filled in completely before bringing the rest of the color to the start and middle of my brows. I like to make sure the arch is very defined, and then once I'm done, I just brush through it with a spoolie brush. Now it's time for the eyes. I'm not going to do anything crazy with them today. I am just going to bring a little bit more definition to the crease and outer corner of my eye using two colors, mauve and espresso. I use mauve to outline my crease. I use espresso to define the outer corner of my eye and my lash line. Then, using a cream color, I just blend out these colors a little bit to make them look slightly more natural. Now for this look, I'm going to use a good amount of mascara. I noticed that I look the happiest and most optimistic when I look a little bit more doe-eyed, meaning that my eyelashes are really big and my eyes just look more open and awake. So I'm using at least 2 coats of mascara on my upper lashes, and then I'm also using a little bit on my lower lashes as well. And that's really it for the look. Notice that my skin tone is far more even and less blotchy than it was before, and the under eye circles are almost completely gone. Keep your chin up and a smile on your face, and everything will be okay. I hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for more videos.